have a different background today because I am in Philadelphia visiting my beloved daughter, Allie, and grandson, Ryan, and grand dog, Oakley, who's a microdoodle. And it's just lovely to be here with them. And I wanted to come on today to tell you about a summit that sounds very exciting even to me. I was invited to be on it because of my love for Chris James and her knowledge of the deep work that I do. And I did not know Alistair Hawkes, the coordinator and moderator of this summit. And she trusted Chris enough to invite me without knowing me. And I have to say that after we had our interview, which will be played at the summit from May 3rd to 5th, that's this weekend, and we'll have the link below so you can join us for free. But back to Alistair, I felt like I knew her forever. I was so comfortable talking to her. She really is the quintessential moderator. I have a lot to learn from her about bringing the best out in their guests. I often want to share so much that I think I don't bring out as much of the guest as I could and would like to in the future. So that's just a little of my inner work. And I constantly grow and learn, as I hope you are doing as well, because for me, that makes life fun. And so what I want to say about my topic, I don't have the exact topic with me. The name, they gave it a fancy name, but it's really based on some new work called conscious dissociation. And I've mentioned it here and there lately, but I give a fuller understanding of it in the summit this weekend. So if you're free to join me, and if you feel a movement to join me, I don't want to repeat what you'll hear at the summit. But what I want to say is add to what I discussed in my conversation with Alistair, but I want to say some new things to you. So my book, When Wisdom Arrives from Imagined Unworthiness to Freedom, focuses on the loops of thinking and feeling and how to get outside of that compulsion is where freedom lies. But underneath that idea is what blocks us. So I'm saying breaking the loops of thinking and feeling round and round on whatever our topic is that concerns us. I'm saying that we need to break it. I'm implying that the only freedom is to get out of the loop. And that's what the book is about. But there are other ways to stay stuck. And before I finish with that way, I want to say that when we believe our thoughts as truth, my book won't get you all the way if you're just saying, oh, a teacher says it's not true, or my friend has gotten freedom through the methods of the book, which bring you into the isness, into presence when you're dropping the past and trying to control the future. But I want to add something that's not in the book. I want to add the need not to be a good student and a good follower of your path. I can't say this strongly enough. Experiment. If I'm saying thoughts and feelings can't be truth because they give you opposite messages, this minute you're great, you're doing so great, look at your success, look at how you're doing better, yay you. And then the next minute you're, oh my God, how could you have done that? How could you have said that? You are such a flunky because nobody responded to what you asked, or nobody recognized you at this event, whatever. How could you, if 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 you are your thoughts and feelings, which one are you? Experiment. Please try to find in your own life. Watch with the observer. Watch. That will give you the pause needed to break out. You don't need to do anything else but pause, acknowledge the message. The message is you're not good enough. If you're saying, how could nobody recognize me? Or how come this person got this and I didn't? Or how come the leader of the class went whoopee when someone said something and said nothing to me? See what the message is. That's unworthiness. Another message might be, people always shun me, or you can't trust most people. You see, look for what the message is. If your message is all about trust, then break down trust. Which are the feelings trust includes as a metaphor? If it includes pain, if it includes anger, if it includes unworthiness. I mean, take unworthiness. If you drop the subject of worthy and unworthy, which is knowing you are an embodiment of source, really, would it be about trusting other people? Get beyond the surface problem. If I could only heal this wound. No, you could actually be all right even with this wound, but you don't know that. And you're sure that when the wound, if the wound would get healed, you would be fine. Well, then when the wound got healed, did you just replace it with something else that's unsatisfactory? Is that unworthiness? Is that pain? Is that trauma? Is that anger about the trauma? Now, I work with so many people who deny anger or repress anger. If you would, instead of saying, I don't do anger, if you would instead acknowledge that everybody has the capacity for all feelings, and some of us, because of our early childhood messages, do something else. So denial is not conscious. It's not saying, I'm angry, but I'm going to pretend I'm not angry. Denial is unconscious or preconscious or pre-verbal. You saw in your family when you were little icky, bad things that seem to happen with anger. And so you try to be good, because we're all into good, bad before we have these other fancy, refined feelings. We have just good and bad. I get a smile, or I get at least not anger, or not focus, or not whatever it was in your early family that feels like good. So maybe for you, it was no attention. That was a relief, and that's good. And attention could be very bad. Go back to the good, bad. Look at your mind and experiment to see how changeable your thoughts and feelings are. If you look at them specifically, you won't say, oh, I always put myself down. If that's a person who hasn't looked carefully at the moments of, well, that was pretty good. For you, that pretty good is somebody else saying, yay, you did it, or yay, you're doing better. Some people don't talk with yay, but it's more minimalist. And look for those nuances. When you see for yourself, you cannot trust the mind for psychological, spiritual freedom. The mind is fantastic for making success in the world, for new inventions, the phone, the internet, space, all the great things the mind can do. We're not talking about that. We're talking about having an experience of letting go without a lot of work on a meditation cushion. Do the meditation if you enjoy it. But if you're doing it to get somewhere, what is that message about where you are? Look at that. If you are willing to see, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm not there yet, I need to meditate, I need to do mantras, I need to go to confession, I need to go to church. Whatever your answer is, look at what's underneath that and see if that might be a false idea of imagined unworthiness. So back to the conference, I want to say a few things, the summit. I want to say a few things about that. Alistair has put together a conference, a summit focused on depletion when we're feeling like we're on empty, when I'm just not thinking of her word, which is so great. But you know what I'm talking about. When you feel like you've given, and maybe you say yes when you would like to say no. What feeling is underneath that? Is that unworthiness? Is that a feeling you need to comply with authorities? First your parents, now your child, or your husband, or your wife, or your partner, or even your mind that says you have to be nice, and now you're running on empty. Some pathways say put that on the altar. What's similar to putting it on the altar is taking a little bit of distance from the feelings, like you do when this, all through this video, I've been asking you to look. When you look, you're stepping into the observer. The observer gives you a pause. When you're running on empty, and this whole summit is about ideas of physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, how to reconnect to replenishment, to the energy of life. And at this summit, you're going to get so many ideas. And my friend Nancy Linneruth, who's amazing at tapping, I don't know what she did during her session, but she never disappoints. So look her up when you go, if you go. It's free, and there will be physical techniques, takeaways, other than the way I work. And Alistair does a lot of body work in order to get to the same place of isness and presence that I teach about. And so everybody, whatever your religious, spiritual, psychological, self-help mindset pathway is, the ending is letting go of torment, psychological suffering into peace, love, and joy, but not the kind in the world of, I got that new thing, I got the house, I got the job, yay, that high. If you want to let go of the lows, you have to let go of the highs. And underneath the letting go of your beliefs in the looping jail, it's a self-imposed imprisonment that's not because we're bad, it's but because we've been conditioned to believe in thoughts and feelings and loops. And we have not been taught that in right below and outside of the upper chakras of thinking, feeling, processing of the mind is a grounding of the earth. So when I talked about in today in terms of yay or nay, thoughts and feelings about yourself and your life, think of ourselves as electrical energy, frequencies, not positive thinking and negative thinking, which is a loop. It's a polarity, and the negative thinking will eventually, you'll be exhausted and will go to the emptiness, which will feel positive. If you are always aiming toward the positive, you're working against the negative. But the isness is about stepping out. So I'll end with something that feels personal, but seems to make an impact when I share it. My daughter, Melissa, that I frequently talk about and teach from, is my teacher. And her death is my teacher. And my acceptance comes from the isness. She died. I cannot find peace and full acceptance of that if I say it's for the good. There are many pathways that say everything's for the good. We just don't understand. What if we just say everything is? Just like in a storm, a tree is not being punished if it's being knocked down. The forces of the universe will take some trees down. It's, I believe, the same with cancer, with other things like death. It will happen, we are not in control of these things. We can feel like we do. We can think that we do, but there are plenty of people who eat all the wrong things and live to be 112. And then there are people who eat the right things and die on the marathon course. And you can argue the numbers and so on. It makes the ego feel well and in control and happy to believe we can control these things. But I say it's a temporary band-aid, that feeling good that we can control these things, because we're never going to do it perfectly, and then our loved ones die. So as well as I don't say it was for some good that Melissa died, I also don't say it's bad that she died. I just say it is. So, friends, family, if you decide to go to the summit and try on all these techniques that are going to be offered, including tapping, look for the ways, if it feels good, that it takes you to the isness. Thank you for joining me today. Bye for now.